Hey, Ann Arbor. It's Tony and Tanya again, and we're back for another episode of 20 Minutes with Tanya, giving you all the real estate knowledge that you want and need. Coming back at you with another question from Reddit. So we got how has the NAR settlement affected the Ann Arbor market? What proportion of listings are offering the typical buy side commission in your experience, Tanya?
I'll tell you what I told everybody in the beginning. A couple days before the NAR settlement was definitely announced, a client's family member met at the listing appointment.
Wait, Tanya. Let's take it back a little bit. Everybody might not know what NAR is and what the settlement was, so let's talk about that.
NAR is the National Association of Realtors. This is a huge question.
We got 20 minutes. 19 now.
I'll break it down. So, NAR is the National Association of Realtors. MAR is the Michigan Association of Realtors.
Okay.
And when you are a realtor, you are legitimately a member of both associations, and you do pay dues to both associations, and must pay attention to the decisions and the ways of doing business for all associations. They decided that, I guess in some areas, now this wasn't true in our area, the people in our area did a really good job of disclosing this information. As far as my experience had been, I don't have the specific numbers on record, but in terms of my experience, the training that I received at several, growing as a realtor at several different brokerages, it was my experience that we were trained in a way to make sure that all parties understood how we were being paid. But in some areas, people did not feel like there was a clarity as to how they were being paid, and they didn't understand, or how they were paying, and they didn't understand that how much they paid a buyer's agent or a seller's agent was negotiable. They thought, according to the lawsuit, according to my understanding, I do not know all of the specific details. What I know is that my business changed in the following ways. We had to disclose in two different ways how the buyer and the seller both were paying their agent or agents. The co-brokers, the buyer's agent and the seller's agent, are co-brokers. If I am a buyer's agent, I'm co-brokering a co-broker with a seller's agent if I'm representing the buyer, right? But I represent the buyer. I have a fiduciary to the buyer. A fiduciary means that I am the person who, like a doctor or a lawyer, is going to represent your best interest, only say things that are best for you, not say anything against you. Like, I'm basically paid to be your new best friend who doesn't say things that are negative about you when you're not in the room. Instead, when you come in the room behind me, you know that everything that has presented has been like glorious and fabulous about you. And you should be like, yeah. Oh, okay, great. So Tanya introduced me. Okay, bad. So we're cool. That's a fiduciary, like a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And whatever you say is confidential, like a doctor, both of them. That's a fiduciary. So that's what you're paying for, is someone to negotiate for you and represent your best interest as a fiduciary, putting your best interest in front of their own best interest. That's why a realtor would get up and walk out of their child's, ballet recital, don't tell the kids, because they will take a call, because in a negotiation, often, most of the time, not even often, okay, timing is important. Timing is a very strategic part of a negotiation. People talk about how much a real estate agent makes. I'm going to get up and walk out. There are memes of women in their wedding dresses sitting in the middle of a field with a laptop on their lap saying, okay, hold on, I'll be there in just a minute. Nobody's going to leave, right? Because I'm the bride. Okay, just everybody hold on, because I got to make this money real quick, you know? But the things and the reasons why, you know, I have to, and it's not I got to make this money real quick. It's really my client has to make this money real quick, and I have an obligation and a duty that when the time, you know, hopefully you'll be working on a team. You have other people with you who'll be able to do these things, who'll be at the same level as you. But I've had other people who work for me, and honestly, on the day after my daughter was born, like I had her that night, maybe like 9:30, 10:30 or something like that. By like before noon the next morning, there were clients in my hospital. They were friends too. They were friend clients, and they had balloons and all the things. They're like, oh, Tanya. And I was like, okay, great. And my ex-husband had this like scowl on his face. And what I realized is they were not there just to say happy this and that and other. They were like, oh, and by the way, we have mold in our attic. And I'm like, but you have this other person that you're supposed to work with. His last name is Powers. Like, he's amazing. He's great. They're like, yeah, I know, but we wanted to talk to you. And I was like, no problem. And I literally reached over and I picked up my computer and I was like, it's okay. It's my second baby. I know how to do these things. They were on their first baby. And, you know, we just got the documents together. We resolved it. We knew what the outcome was. They were satisfied with it. I think I resolved in like 15, 20 minutes. And, you know, my ex-husband's not very happy. You know, he's like, yeah. But my daughter, I love her the most, you know, no problems with the balance between work and, you know, all these things. But that's why I always tell everybody and my clients, you know, I'll reach you back in 2 hours, because that allows me to watch a movie with my phone turned off and nobody like losing their mind. But I usually call people before I walk into the movie to make sure everything is settled in the hour and a half before that. So this type of lifestyle that I have, like going on vacation and waking up before everybody and working for a little bit of time before the family realizes that, like, no, I didn't work on vacation, you know. And then at the end of the night, like after everybody goes to sleep, pretending like I'm asleep too, getting up, like I gotta go to the bathroom. Really, I'm like 15, 20 minutes on my computer real quick, you know, so nobody feels like either, you know, I'm taking a shower, you know, I'm just, you know, there's
Took me forever to wrap my hair up.
so much hair. So yeah, it's, and you know, I go out to dinner and I time myself. I have gotten some of my phone calls on my negotiations down to 2.5 to 5 minutes effectively. And, you know, anyway, so sometimes, you know, there are nuances to all of these things, and everything that I'm saying is a case by case with presentation of each different home that is sold in each family that you are working with. And you know that when you're working with a family that they have certain needs, and you've signed up for that for the time that they're going to be, you know, selling their home or contacting you if there's an emergency afterwards. They don't know who to call, and they know that, you know, we've been on hundreds of home inspections, probably 1,000 over, you know, again, all the decades. And so it just, that particular, so yes, we, like a doctor and a lawyer, have sacrificed much of our own personal time and life in order to be available and at the disposal of our clients. So then we also have to be, you know, thoughtful. We have to be thoughtful. Everybody has to be thoughtful. But yeah, there are reasons why. And that's how I usually answer the question, but you got the long answer. Ask me the question one more time. Go ahead. Ask me the question.
Which question? The
first question. Yeah.
All right.
The question I just spent 85,000 hours answering. Ask me the question again. Hold on. I'm going to give you my short answer. Go.
So how has the NAR settlement affected Ann Arbor's market, and what proportion of listings are offering the typical buyer side commission in your experience?
You know these things.
I don't know these things. You know these things. That's why this is called 20 Minutes with Tanya.
So how has it affected our business? It hasn't. So I walk into a meeting a couple of days before this, and somebody looks at me square in the face and they say, you know, they say that you all are not going to be making as much money as you were making before. You are going to only be making like 50%. And some of you guys aren't going to be paying at all. Like the buyer's agents aren't going to be paid at all. So the goal here was that we just have a better explanation as to where the money is going to and why. And if you want to email me in the subject line, say where the money is going to and why, at the Ann Arbor Hub at gmail.com, where the money is going to. I will show you what we do for the money besides all the explanation of the time and the commitment. and dedication. And
here at Modern Living Collective, y'all do a lot for your clients.
So what has, thank you, happened is we just have to more fully disclose what percentages are going to each one of the, is everyone still getting 3%, or do you feel like one agent did more work than the other one? So what we are doing is we have to, on the contracts, on addendums, and when we first create the contracts with the sellers and with the leaseors and the leasees and the buyers, everybody just has to see, like, in black and white, this is what a percentage is going to this person. And some people need to see before that in an email, this is what this person is going to do for you, and this is why they're going to make that money. And the first thing they're going to do for you is they're going to be your fiduciary. How have I seen things change? I saw it get a little wonky for the first couple of months because everybody was like trying it out and walking the line and everything. But what we've discovered is exactly what happened when I walked into the person's home, and I was looked at, and they told me, oh, I hear that you're not going to, some of you all are not going to be getting paid like buyer's agents, and then some people are only going to be making 50% of their income. And I looked at the client, because it wasn't the client, the potential client who became a client, who has been a client for several years now. I looked at the client and I said, and they have a business, and I'm going to use they to not give away who this person is, and they have a business, and I said to them, at your business, now they've made a court decision that you have to negotiate your pay, or, as I've just learned when I walked into your house, I'm not going to get paid. Or, let's say you decided you're not going to pay me as your buyer's agent, because I'm supposed to be your buyer's agent and your seller's agent. So let's talk about buyer's agent first. So you just told me you're not going to pay me. So my next question to you is, what do you do if you go to work and you go to talk to your client and your client says, well, I hear that you're not going to get paid. What are you going to do? He goes, I'm not going to work. And I said, okay. Now, what if they say, well, I hear that you're only going to get 50% of your pay. Well, now what are you saying? He goes, well, I'm going to get a different job. So those things happen, And then I say, as your seller's agent, who, you're going to pay me to sell the house, because I do marketing houses. I mean, some marketing costs, some homes that I list, I have to spend $1,500 before I even that's why we have a 6-month contract with them, because I have to spend $1,500 before I've ever even gotten paid in order to market. And then with Google ads, and then with the staff that I have to create the marketing for all of the social media platforms. We were told that we need to post about 30 to 60 times a day, but go ahead, look up Ann Arbor Hub. And I know that sometimes because we're taking over a spot and we just started doing this, that you're going to see other renditions of that, but we are AnnArborHub.com or at Ann Arbor Hub on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and I am Tayna Hill on LinkedIn. That's LinkedIn /INN/Tanya TANYAHILL. So basically, he agreed with me. If, we're not going to be cutting real estate agents pay at 50%. They can't afford that. They're not going to go to work for that. They're not going to leave their kids' ballet recital at that price. And again, they're not going to take that risk because we're putting $1,500 into it before we've even taken your listing, with our MLS cost and our support cost. And, there's marketing and people, and there are administrative people, and there are showing assistants, and
Zillow in your pocket.
Girl. So anyway, I think I asked the question. Can you ask the question again one more time, please? I just want to make sure I hit all the points on it before time expires.
So, we got time.
Go ahead. No.
So how has it affected the Ann Arbor market, and what proportion of listings are offering the typical?
So it was wonky for a minute, and now what I am going to say is that buyer's agent and seller's agents commissions have always been negotiable. And it really comes down to what the agent feels their value is on the market and what the client feels they want to pay. Just like with a price of a house in a free market economy. A free market economy shows what the seller and the buyer, what the seller is willing to accept and what the buyer is willing to pay. And I'm going to believe that with what a client is willing to pay for the service and what an agent is willing to accept as their fee. And as honorable people with integrity, I presume that they would be upfront with listing the jobs that they are willing to do at a particular price and time it takes them to do that. And it'll be different for everybody. Some people can do it really fast. Some people can do it by themselves. Some people do it with a team. All the people are different, but at least you know that if somebody's doing it with a team. I always think about the last thing I'll say. I think about the walk in front of the bus factor, right? So I like working in partnership. The reason I like working in a partnership is because, or at least, a team and a partnership, both, I'll take it both. Team, go. You know what I mean? I will be your teammate, your team member, your cheerleader, whatever it is, because I really believe that, again, in so much time in this business, if I'm in the hospital, again, things we do for this job. Oh yeah, I just said that I was in the hospital with my, having my daughter. But if I'm in the hospital and I just had some weird thing happen to me and now I'm, not so good, my clients are going to go, oh no, what happened to my realtor? This is horrible. What happened? And then the next thing they're going to think is, oh no, what about my house? I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful or anything like that, but and I would be the same way. And I understand that. So then they would say it's just business. It's not friendly. I understand. And so with that, what I believe, if you have a second person to call or somebody else who knows what is going on with your transaction, or a fact checker. And in my situation, there's like 3 or 4 of us who all know what's going on, because you have transaction coordinators and title companies and, business partnerships with other realtors who are the hub of the wheel. Corinne, thumbs up, high five, woo woo, all the things.
Woo woo. Love Corinne, our favorite team member.
So yeah, basically, the way that things have changed is that you have to be an experienced real estate agent with a solid foundation and a consistent record. And you also, if you are a new agent, it's, I would say, helpful to be associated with people who might know more than you. And if you're an experienced agent, I might think that it's helpful to be associated with people who know more than you, or at least are studying in different areas. Like maybe one person on the team is going down this and learning about that, and then the other person's learning about this, and then you get together and you're just a stronger team, and everybody's like boosting everyone else up. Like you see the memes in your head about like the figures that are the exact opposite of crabs in a can that are pulling each other back down, but instead they are cupping their hands together on people's feet and helping to boost them out. So everyone is, collaborating to become better, working together to build, large things and make great changes.
So in conclusion, you're saying it really hasn't changed the Ann Arbor market at all, because people are willing to pay for quality realtors in this market where there are not many houses for sale.
We're not intimidated by the fact that there are not many houses for sale.
And that's why they're willing to pay you.
Thank you. I appreciate all my clients. Thanks to you all for Thanksgiving. I, at the table, think to myself and sometimes out loud of all the people who have trusted me with their homes. And you know what? The negotiation, just tell me what you want.
Gotcha. You make it all sound so simple, Tanya. Everybody should just be running on down to Mount Olympic Collective.
It's been a long time. A lot of time. A lot of rooms where people have collaborated and smart people have spoken to other smart people over food.
Okay, so let's wrap this up and give him.
I'd like to go to out to, if anybody wants to, take to maybe a nice place to eat, and we could like sit and have conversations, or like
That
in
new
in the
echelon
meetup.
on Main Street is opening soon. I'm excited to go see what that's all
Tell you
about.
about all my years and experience in real estate. The meetup.com,
Oh yeah,
Ann Arbor Hub,
come to our St. Patrick's Day
meetup.com.
bar crawl.
We can talk about real estate all you want to. I love to talk about real estate. We love Ann Arbor. We love Ann Arbor real estate. We consider ourselves to be park experts. Well, actually, just look at Ann Arbor Hub and you'll see all the different things that we do. But definitely, we love the parks, and the parks are like lakes. Like that's the other thing. You in the other podcast, you asked me about what do people in. So people in Michigan like to have lake houses, and they like to spend a lot of money at lake houses. But in Ann Arbor, we don't have lakes here, but we have parks, and the parks are like the lakefront, and the homes that are closer and more easily accessible to the parks, or in walking distance of the parks, or the homes that are more walkable. Those are the ones that cost more money because you're paying for the walkability and the access to all of nature. And the nature trails are unbelievable. I mean, we're talking about 22-acre preserves where you forget that you're in the middle of the city. The prairies, it's nutty. Mathi Botanical Garden, the ARB, they talk about those, but I'm talking about like the neighborhood parks. I'm talking about the ones that are associated like with the different
Bird
schools.
Hills, my favorite.
All of the things, man. Go to Ann Arbor Hub.com and check out some of our blogs just to see all the different things that are going on around the city and have gone on, because I think our blogs go back a couple years. Our new launch was like in 6 months, but enjoy.
So let's to wrap it up. We'll give him a percentage. So he's asking what proportion of listings are offering the typical buyer side commission. In your experience, and since the settlement, what percentage of people are offering that typical buyer side commission?
Since the settlement, my answer is I am unaware of that specific number, as those numbers should not be disclosed before or after the settlement. Each transaction should be confidential as a fiduciary between each transaction for everybody. So that's number one. And number two, my answer to that question after the settlement would be, I would just say that buyer, seller, buyer's agent, seller's agent, everything is negotiable in real estate. You don't walk in and say the price of the cheese is this. Even if the price of the cheese is that, everything is just like negotiable. And so I will start every conversation with my clients just making sure that they know everything in this transaction is negotiable. But you also have to understand that when somebody says no, it's over. Like, you know how the teacher used to always say, when you become an adult, you have to turn this assignment in on time. If you don't, then I'm not accepting it. That's real estate contingencies all day. And then they would say, oh, if I said no, it means no. And then you would like test to see if you can say yes again. They'd be like, okay, I'll give you a do-over. Okay, you can earn it back. This is not preschool or elementary school or even high school or even college sometimes when, we get passes. This is real life. So when somebody says, when you're negotiating in something with a real estate agent and a client, like that realtor or that client can say yes, they can say no, or they can say, let's counter or let's renegotiate. But you have to understand that when somebody says no, you don't always get a do-over. They might be like, no, I'm good. Like, no, I'm good. Like, you thought that I was only worth $1,500 for the work that I was going to do. I was going to spend at least that much in marketing. No, I'm good. Like, go with another agent who's going to spend $1,500, depending on the price point of the house. If it's like a $60,000 house, I don't have, and I do not, all property. I'm good. I'm here. 60,000, sure. 25,000, hit me up. Let's talk about it. Let's see what you got. I'm good. But, if we're at $60,000, then of course we're going to look at how much that person's actually making on it, and then it's going to be a percentage. So it might not be 1,500, but I'm just using that number as a number to throw out into the sky because everything is negotiable. But I can't say that if I can't spend money for you to be my client. And I can't work for free, and I'm not going to work for free. This is not charity or a hobby where I pay for it or I do it for free or I bring you things to help you out. Like, this is a business. And the reason that a seller's agent is being paid is because they're supposed to work and pay for themselves. A seller's agent is paid because if you sell a house at $260,000 or you sell a house at $280,000, hopefully if I made $6,000 off of that transaction, then the 200 in approximately a little bit less, but then I made you 200. You would have sold it at 260. I sold it at 280. You gave me $6,000 because I made you for sure what you wanted, A, and then B, $14,000 extra, and I pay for myself. That's the reason why you're supposed to be paying your agent. So if you're clear with that and you understand that that is what is supposed to be going on, and that's the conversation that you had, and you're looking at, but if I sold it at this time of year and the price drops and what I'm probably going to get for the house, blah, blah, and your agent has the history in order to look at the graphs to say that the, homes are improving at this price percentage per year. And, that's what historically, and in the last 3 months, what we're looking at, because the appraisers are going to say, and I can sell it at 289, but if the appraiser says it's 260, then, that's going to be different, but you're still going to be paying me this much, and your net would be that much because you're, playing around with different sheets that will give you net of what would happen if I sold at this, if then, and that kind of stuff. So anyway, this is very, very involved. I appreciate it when people start to explore what it takes to buy and sell a house 2 years before they actually want to do it. When you get into it like 90 days before, that's fine, but you're going to have like another job for a while. But if you start doing it 2 years beforehand, then we can like talk about all these things a little bit at a time, and we can watch the market, and you yourself can become an expert. Because that's the other thing about Ann Arbor. Everybody's so smart around here that of course they could do my job, but they don't have time to do my job because they have to do their job. So, but I can show you how I do my job in order that you can follow what's going on. I mean, you can come to the same, presumptions or the same calculations or the same expectations.
Realistic expectations.
Oh,
in real
and not
estate.
on Zillow. Can I say, listen, how much you pay for Zillow?
How much do I pay?
How much you pay for Zillow?
I ain't paying Zillow, not
Right.
no dang.
Okay,
no
right.
dime.
So you're a person in the real world, and you're trying to look on Zillow, and you're trying to figure out, so how much you pay for Zillow?
$0.
Okay. So
My
when
attention
I send
on
you
the ads.
the information that I have from my resources, which is a primary source, if you're into history, history, I'm a primary source, right? The multiple listing service is a primary source, and Zillow is a third party source because it's gone through IDX and then it went to Zillow, right? It's the MLS to IDX and then to Zillow. At least on this particular calendar date, And then you and I, so you look at Zillow, it costs you nothing. And then I send you, information from the multiple listings, which is a primary. So what I pay for, there's a comma in the number that I pay per year. Let's not talk about it because different people pay different amounts depending on which boards they're on and all these things. But the point is we have to, and then there's continuing education with how we have to like verify and confirm what a comparable market analysis looks like and what it actually is based on what's going on in the area. And then Ann Arbor has a lot of niche neighborhoods. So you can't do just like a city block like you could maybe in like Lincoln Park or Allen Park or Livonia. It might be a little bit easier because their neighborhoods are pop. And in Ann Arbor, we might have a couple neighborhoods that are like pop, bam. They're like normal. They're like, you just go in there and you just see that little nook. But a lot of our more highly desirable places are more persnickety in their comparative market analysis. Point being, I pay for the multiple listing system. You got Zillow for free. So which one do you think is going to be better? Are you looking on Zillow at his estimate, or you consulting with a real estate agent who will help you create a strategic marketing plan in order to sell your home at the time that you prefer at the most money with the least amount of hassle?
Y'all got almost an extra 10 minutes with Tanya. Y'all are so lucky today on this subject. All right. It's been great talking with y'all once again on the Ann Arbor Hub podcast. I'm Tony. And of course, our expert here is Tanya Hill. Hit her up on social media.
Tanya Hill, Ann
Send
Arbor
us some
Realtor.
more questions.
Ann Arbor Realtor.
Hey.
Ann Arbor at Ann Arbor Real Estate.
She got so many ats. Get at her.
At Ann Arbor Hub.
Bye, Ann Arbor.